Okay, Roch, I'm just showing you my process. So I already measured my flour. There's 950 grams of my mix that I've shared with you. And then I've got 660 mils of lukewarm water. So autolyzing just means literally getting your flour wet. And then we're gonna let this sit for a half an hour. So I'm literally just mixing it until it's just incorporated. And that's it. So this is the end product where it's just been totally incorporated. And it's just gonna sit wet like this, covered with a tea towel for 30 minutes. Okay, we're back a half an hour later. So the only thing I've done is measured out 18 grams of salt. And because I want my hydration a little bit higher, I'm actually going to add, I did add the 660 grams in there already to autolyze, and I'm just adding a little bit more for my salt so that it dissolves really nicely. So just doing this. Okay, then I'm gonna pour the water and the salt over with no rules, and I need a little spatula. So I just let it incorporate in there and let it sit in there. And afterwards, when we get pulling it, the salt will just dive right in through the whole loaf. So then this is my starter. We had it going since this morning. It's a little bit overdue because I didn't get to it when I was supposed to. So like probably 2 hours too late, but that's okay. The bubbles are still really nice and it's gonna be just fine. So I've got my autolyzed flour and salt solution here, and I'm just gonna pretend I'm feeding my starter, and instead of throwing it in the garbage or making crackers, I'm putting the majority over top of my autolyzed dough. And you literally use almost all of it. There's literally next to nothing left, maybe 50 grams. And you take the starter and just kind of sit it over top like an icing. And that's going to sit there for half an hour, something like that. At which time I will start pulling it, and I'll do that a few times. So it's gonna sit there again for another half an hour. In the meantime, I need to refeed my starter because I've emptied it. So now it's as if it's a new day and I'm just feeding it. So tomorrow I have all the way until this time of night to get my starter fed within the 24-hour range. So gonna put 100 grams back in like I did this morning. Each one of these is about 50 grams, so it's real close to 100. I don't need the scale, but I like to use it. And then I'm gonna grab 100 liters of water and we'll be done. Tout fini. Stir that up, leave it till tomorrow. All right, so it's definitely been longer than half an hour because Kristen and I went outside.
And then
So here we are. We're gonna stretch and pull. So you just kind of reach under, pull it out, and knock it over itself as far as you can right now, because you're trying to incorporate the sourdough starter. It's really a dash messy.
and then there's this one.
And then I'm gonna just swirl this around because I had the liquid still from the salt, and my starter is a little loose. So just playing with the hydration, I'll let you know how it works out. And then we'll leave that again. You literally just pull
just this one.
north to south, turn it a quarter, do the same thing, turn it a quarter, do the same thing, and so the 4 sides, and that's it. And we're gonna cover it up. And we'll do that a few more times every half hour. And then it'll be ready to either fold into the loaves or set overnight in the garage. So we're calling this 30 minutes later, and we're just stretching and pulling again.
Can you put it back?
Literally 4 times.
Put it back.
Sometimes I cheat and do another stretch, but you really don't need to because you just want to incorporate it into the bowl every time. That's it. So my hands are washed. We're going to do the fold again. And it gets better. You can see that the texture starts to be way more incorporated. And you can see that the bubbles are kind of really nicely in there. And I'm just pulling it up, and then I'm going to pull it over and just let it get into the gooey stuff. And there we have it. We'll let it sit. I can tell by the hydration that I'm going to have to do that at least 2 more times. And after dinner, I'm going to probably pick some of the oregano off the stem and put some of that in just because. Ciao for now. Okay, ask me how much I feel like doing this tonight. But anyway, I'm so close. So the counter's all clean. I'm just actually dropping some flour to work the dough. My video might die because I am running out of life. Kids were here tonight and I had to make a video, so my night was a little busier than I expected. But there's the dough. I actually did not raise it again, but I think it's just fine. And then right now I'm going to form it into the loaf. I'm going to put it in its Benningtons for the night. And then I'm just going to let it rise in there. So, and then it's going to be what it's going to be. So, so it's really lovely to pull out. I'm just going to show you. Pours out onto this lightly floured surface. Easy peasy. How's that for, oops. There, should be able to see that decently. So you can use either tool. I do like to use this one, and I also like to have my flour available. So this, what we've done here is enough to create 2 loaves, and this little video should show you how to split the loaf and form the bread. Now I've done a much higher hydration, and I'm not sure if I'm going to regret it or not, but we'll see what happens. So I'm dropping some flour beside it because it is so wet, it's a little stickier to work with. And you basically just want to pull the bread, the sourdough to be, and it's got some gorgeous bubbles in there. I don't know if you can see that, but I got to work fast so I don't lose my video. So I've basically created 2 rectangles, and I'm going to fold the center, fold each side into the center, so it's like, and then press it into itself, and it's just that simple. It looks like a bit of a ball. I don't know why they do this. I don't know the science of it, but there's definitely science with sourdough. I'm stealing some flour, number 1, to get my hands a little bit caked, and number 2, so my surface isn't sticky. So then you just roll it into itself and you press. That pressing's important. And you're kind of forming it as you go. My stuff's sticky, so I'm getting my hands a little bit full of flour. And there you've got the base of the bread. So I'm gonna take a little bit of the flour that I've dropped on the counter, and I'm going to, oops, there's so much extra here. I'm going to roll it into itself. So I'm basically just tucking those folds under so we don't see them. This part's fun because it kind of molds the bread. Probably not totally necessary because it will still form overnight. But I'm just getting all those folds and creases to be on the very bottom and give it a nice little texture for itself. So with these things, you want to make sure they're nice and floured. You can use cloth. I'm actually not going to tonight. The bamboo does a really good job of keeping the moisture where it needs to be. But you do want to have it floured nicely. Took a little too much out, so there's that. And then I'm just literally gonna put this in there and hope for the best. So that's gonna rise tonight, and I will do the other one. when I'm done this, I'm just gonna put the bannetons in the garage because it needs to be cold. So I think the garage is cold enough. You could use your fridge and leave it so that it slow rises, because if you just leave it on the counter, it'll overproof and you won't have that nice airy sourdough bubbly bread. There's something to banging like this. I don't exactly know why, but there's some sort of science behind it, so. That one's new. Wish me luck. I'm just gonna cake this with some flour too. You don't want it to stick or it's a nightmare. And then we just want to also make sure the rims are nicely floured so that nothing wet touches it at the end of the day. All right. 2 loaves that will have a cloth over them in the garage till morning. Good morning. We're gonna have bread soon. So what I did here was put the bread in those cast iron skillets, and then I have some water for steam. In 10 minutes, I will be taking the lids off, dropping the temperature to 350, and then leaving it to bake for another 20 to 30 minutes. And there we have it. 2 beautiful sourdough loaves. Hope you enjoy my first ever sourdough bread tutorial, Rocky.